Hey friend, Valentine's Day is just around the corner and we have some really fun Valentine's Day cards that we're painting this year. We did this last year too, and we came up with some really solid ideas that I'm sharing in the Galentines version of this tutorial. So if you're a gal and you want to appreciate your other gal pals, make sure you check out that tutorial as well. But today we're going to be covering all of the lovey-dovey things. I am a type 8 Enneagram, so this type of stuff makes me a little uncomfy. I'm not super lovey-dovey. You can just ask John. Also, going on rants, but also last year, John did a Valentine's Day takeover of this channel that has everyone tearing up in the comments. So if you haven't seen that video, you definitely need to see that one. I teared up. I don't tear up that often. Anyway, today though, we're going to be painting some really fun, contemporary, clean and modern style Valentine's Day cards. They're really beautiful in my opinion. So everything from script and stenciling out hearts and all of that. So if you're ready, let's dive in. We've got 4 kind of sectioned off pieces or cards, flat cards for the 4 different cards that I'm going to show you. So if you want to paint 4 or create 4, you would, do the vertical half and the horizontal half. I'm painting on a 9x12 block of paper, so 4.5 inches for this and 6 inches for the horizon on the paper. So get out your ruler and divide your sections, or if you're just doing one card, you can make it into a folding card by doing, one of these, and you can have 2 folding cards if you wanted to, this way or this way, totally up to you. But I'm gonna show you 4 different cards, and you can write on the back side of these, or like I said, you can create just one and do a folding card if you prefer. Just make sure it's on the right side of the fold. Okay, so one other thing that you might want to have is I cut out, just penciled a heart and then cut it out with some scissors, a heart stencil. So I can have cards that have hearts, uniform hearts on them that are the same. So it kind of ties it together. It looks a little bit more buttoned up and designed, but it's done by hand. So if you want your hearts to look more uniform, I've got this cute little heart stencil, and then I just lightly penciled the sketch around it. So the first card is going to be an ombre effect with 9 different hearts. And the hearts are kind of like candy hearts, but we're kind of doing our own twist on the colors by doing an ombre effect of light pink to a darker pink. But the hearts have the letters I-L-O-V-E-Y-O-U and an exclamation point. So I'm going to use my size 6 brush. I've already penciled in all of my heart shapes. I just eyeballed center first and then did the 2 around them. So center, because it's easier to find center. And then you'll do your other 2 around it. It doesn't have to be the perfect placement, but you can always, pencil that out like with a ruler first if you want it to be perfect. And then I'm actually gonna start with, that was a great noise by the way. Can we do that again? Oh, that was even better. Okay, so this gouache set, I've mentioned it on here before. I've been really, really into gouache lately. You don't have to use gouache. You can use Scarlet Lake, Opera Rose, water for it, but I think they're just really unique colors. So that's an orange that I might mix up with the pink to have some more contemporary colors. Just a little squeeze. And you can use gouache straight from the tube like this, liquid, kind of like you would paint with oil or acrylic, or watered down like watercolor. Or it can dry and you can still paint with it. So I have orange and this pink mixed together. You could do cadmium orange and opera rose if you don't have this gouache set. You just have the watercolor. And then I'm gonna do like a very washy version of that. So like a tea or coffee consistency. If you haven't seen our consistency video, we'll link to it here so you can check it out, because that's what I refer to when I talk about consistencies like tea and coffee or butter. So check it out. Okay, so all I'm gonna do is just paint in these hearts. I wanna start light first and more orangey, and then we're gonna get darker and more pink as we move down these rows. And if you're worried about those pencil lines, you'll just need to mix up a more opaque mixture or thicker mixture to cover it up. But the letter pencil line, I am gonna cover up with darker, thicker paint once these hearts dry. So the ombre effect is going to be with the color. We're going to get more pink as we go down, as I mentioned. And if you want, you can lighten these. Like I kind of like this lighter orange. So I'm going to take a dry brush or even a paper towel and kind of lift off some of this color on these two first hearts. And then just darken this third one a little bit. Now I'm just grabbing more pink and swirling it in my orangey pink mixture. And we've got a slightly thicker mixture as well. So like a creamy consistency for these hearts, milky creamy. And because I'm using gouache, I can also use gouache for the letters, and it will, once these are dry, I'll do the letters. But the gouache is opaque. So if you're painting with watercolor, make sure your base or your hearts are relatively light so that you can use a really thick amount of paint for the letters on top, and those letters will be visible. If you go too thick or too dark with your hearts using watercolor for the letters, you won't be able to see the letters. Now I'm going to add some opera rose to make it pinky pink. So opera rose with some of that rosy gouache. I was originally thinking of doing some cute illustrations with bottles or birds or, you know, some of those cute and fun things, but all you really need is something simple and put your own spin on it. This is, in my opinion, way more beautiful than some of those cards you buy in the store, you know. So now we're gonna wait for those to dry and I'll be ready to put the letters on them. I'm gonna do like a really dark red gouache for the letters, most likely. So we keep it monochromatic. Next, we're gonna do a simple stripe and I'm gonna be using a flat shader brush. So the edges are like a stripe, but you can use a round brush if you don't have a flat shader brush. Just, you know, use it like this and you'll get a stripe look. I would love to have a bigger size flat shader brush, but this will work. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a lot of wet and wet technique, and we're just gonna do pinks and oranges and reds, stripes using like a tea or coffee consistency. So again, if you haven't seen the consistency video I did, make sure you check it out. The water to pigment ratio is like 80% water to like 20% pigment. So it's very fluid and transparent. So I'm just gonna apply some stripes and I'm gonna switch up my hue just a little bit. So maybe this next one is gonna be more orangey, some Scarlet Lake and Opera Rose. And because I'm working quick, these stripes, when they touch each other, they're gonna blend, which I love. Maybe we do something a little different before we get too far down. A lemon yellow deep with just a touch of green for like a goldish green. And I'm not thinking too much about it. I'm just bouncing around with my hues and my stripes and kind of angling the stripes in a different position. Let's bring back that yellow, maybe a little bit more green this time. That's nice. Maybe another orangey red, so Scarlet Lake and cadmium orange. There you go, and then we're gonna wait for that to dry and write love on top. This next one I'm also going to use my flat shader brush for because we're gonna paint in two matches. So for my match color, I've got yellow ochre and lots of water. You can do yellow ochre and white gouache if you want it to be more opaque. I'm on the last bits of my white gouache. So that's nice and creamy. So I'm just gonna paint in two matches, get a little bit of water so it's a smooth coverage. And then with my round brush, size 2 round brush, I'll put in like a dark brown for the little, what is that called? Where you light it? Little
nub.
Nub. So this is burnt umber and Mars black. Just do a thin little line. Nub.
I think you're thinking of wick.
Wick.
But that's a candle.
Well, what would it be called then for?
It's just like an igniter. I don't know.
Okay, so we got lemon yellow deep for the base of our flame. Make sure it stays decently wet. So we forgot what matches look like, and we're gonna make them look more like matches. So I'm gonna grab Scarlet Lake and do these nubs. There you go, they're matches again. And then I'm gonna add in some orange to the flame and some red. And then on this right match, I'm just gonna grab a mostly dry brush, but with a little bit of water and kind of blend. There you go, like it never happened. And let's do a little bit more yellow around the flame. A perfect match. Because I'm not layering on top of what I just painted, I'm gonna go straight to the words. We're gonna keep these really simple and sans serif, just like your handwriting, your printing. With my size 2 round brush, I'm going to point whatever way feels comfortable. For my C curves, you know, whatever direction they're going, I like to go top and then bottom to top. So for this R, I'm gonna go around until it starts to go down, and then I'm gonna meet it. It's just easier because if you go all the way through, you'll kind of just flick it around and create a weird texture. For style, I'm just painting like I would write with a pen, but I'm like the R, this little loop here on the R, I'm making it go down really far. So it has this tiny little foot, and same thing with my A, and all of those waistline points on these letters are kind of low. That just gives it a nice, cute effect. But keep it light and bouncy and not too perfect, because that's a style, that's a look. Okay, and now for this last one, I've got some more hearts too. I'm gonna do more candy heart colors. So I'm gonna have some like pale turquoise and pinks and yellows in here. So I'm gonna start with some Scarlet Lake and cadmium orange for a bright orangey red for my first heart. Because we're painting hearts, we can go a little off brand from Valentine's Day colors. If, you know, maybe somebody you don't think will like the traditional reds, or maybe you haven't said the L word yet. You don't want it to look too serious. You can do like turquoise and purple and pink hearts instead. So I've got penciled out, I've got some B mine here that will be in black. So I'm gonna do hearts down here. I'm gonna start incorporating some different shades. So I've got like a cobalty purple that I'm gonna use mostly water for. But cobalt with some opera rose will get you that color, and then a lot of water. Now let's do a yellow green. Red and green are contrasting colors, but we've got a yellow green, so this is kind of a spin off of a contrasting color to that red without it being Christmas colors. And it makes it feel a little bit more modern or contemporary with the color palette. And then we're gonna bring it back with some turquoise, maybe more of like a minty color. So I'll do cobalt turquoise, lemon yellow deep, and a lot of water. Now I want a bright pink. So opera rose is gonna do the job. Super bright. Really thick amount of it on my brush. And let's do that same color, but a lot lighter, so a lot more water on it this time for a pale pink. Those are some cute colors. And now I want cadmium orange with a touch of opera rose in a semi-transparent mix. For this final color, maybe do a really pinky purple. Purple and yellow are contrasting colors, so we're pulling out the yellow in this heart with this purple undertone, but it also looks more like a Valentine's color because of that pink undertone. We're gonna put our Be Mine using some black, Mars Black watercolor with my size 2 round brush. I'm getting in a lot of pigment, so it's really thick, but I want my brush to still be able to be really flexible, so it's not too thick and buttery. It's more like a creamy mixture. Be careful not to hit your wet hearts, and be really thin on your up and across strokes, and then on your down strokes, apply pressure. B. Cute. And now for the red letters. So I don't have my red gouache, so we're gonna do just a really buttery, thick mixture of Scarlet Lake, and hopefully it turns up on those pink ones. But we're just gonna do some simple, thin letters, like they're candy hearts. And then for this card, I'm gonna do script, long tails, and then love, and then another long tail in black. Okay, so now I've got my size 2 brush and some Mars Black, and I'm gonna write right over this like lighter stripe right there. So I've got an S curve for my tail, and I'm just gonna do a downstroke over that spot, L, O, V, E, love. All right, you guys, there's 4 cute, I think my favorite's this one because the colors. Cute and simple Valentine's Day cards that you can give to your loved ones. Your mom, your boyfriend, girlfriend, your sister, your BFF, your wife, your husband. Send them this way. If you want a card, if you want to receive a card like this, tell your mom, wife, husband, girlfriend, boyfriend, whoever, watch this video. Step up the game this year, you can say. Jenna says to step it up. There you go. We've got some cute phrases, some really simple, quick ideas for Valentine's Day that you can do in just a few minutes. So maybe you have multiple Valentines or just one and you want to give them 4 cards. You can give them all 4 or pick your favorite. My favorite was the Be Mine one with those fun colors. Let me know in the comments below which was your favorite, or if you did a little fun twist on one of these ideas for your own card. Let me know in the comments. I would love to check it out. And make sure you check out the Valentine's Day tutorial, which we'll also link here. And for further resources, for getting better at watercolor, because you know that's what this channel is all about. Make sure you check out the Complete Beginner's Guide to Watercolor. It's a deep dive, free watercolor course on all things techniques, supplies, everything you would need to know about watercolor. Check it out. I've also got a free floral watercolor ebook that's going to teach you the basics of floral watercolor, loose style floral watercolor. So we'll link to that as well. Check it out. And if you want to take your watercolor journey extra far and get more in-depth hand-holding advice directly from me, check out my Patreon. I've got tiers as low as $2 a month all the way up to $20 a month and everywhere in between, where I'm sharing Patreon exclusive tutorials and live art classes, and answering your questions live in those live art classes and tutorials that I just don't share anywhere else. So if you want to take it a little bit deeper, your watercolor journey, then make sure you check me out on Patreon. It is a very fun place to be. And of course, I have 2 watercolor books, a third on the way. So depending when you watch this, it might already be out. But Everyday Watercolor is my first book. I cover 30 paintings in 30 days, a lot of different subjects in there, from loose abstracts and florals to landscapes and animals, toucan and elephant in there. So check that one out. And then Everyday Watercolor Flowers, which covers loose and realistic style flowers from basic shapes and more. So check out those books. We'll link to them here. And as always, thank you so much for watching and commenting and engaging with these videos. It means the world, and I'll see you in the next video.